Have you ever noticed how your body seems to remember things your mind has long forgotten? A sudden ache in your chest, a tightness in your throat when you speak your truth, a heaviness in your stomach when old grief resurfaces, not from something physical, but something deeper. What if your body wasn't just a machine? What if it was a living map, etched with the story of your soul? Caroline Myss once said, "Your biography becomes your biology. Every suppressed emotion, every unspoken word, every unresolved relationship, they don't vanish. They settle in your tissues, in your muscles, in your heart." In this video, we'll explore a deeper truth. That illness is not random. It is sacred. It is symbolic. It is the soul's language spoken through the body. We'll follow the story of a man who suffered a heart attack, not because of poor health, but on the anniversary of his father's death, a father he never forgave. Coincidence, or a message from the soul? This is not just about health. This is about energy memory, cellular grief, and the power of spiritual healing. Let's begin by listening not with the ears, but with the heart, because sometimes the pain is not asking to be fixed. It's asking to be understood. There is a moment, a quiet, eerie moment, when your body tells you something before your mind catches on. It doesn't scream. It doesn't explain. It whispers. Sometimes it's a migraine that returns every time you sit with your mother. Sometimes it's a stiff neck every time you talk about money. Sometimes it's your heart breaking just once more. In silence, the man in this story was 48. No major health problems. He didn't smoke. Ate well. Ran every Saturday morning. But on a rainy Sunday afternoon in March, his chest tightened. He couldn't breathe. His wife called 911. Later that night, in the ER, the doctor said it could have been much worse. "You were lucky," they told him. But what shook him more was the date. It was the anniversary of his father's death. A man he hadn't spoken of in 20 years. A man he never truly forgave. He sat there, hooked up to wires and monitors, and whispered to himself, "Why today?" It wasn't just a question. It was a revelation. His body remembered what his mind refused to process. You see, the body does not forget. It stores every suppressed tear, every word unspoken, every act of betrayal you swallowed instead of facing. Over time, it shows up as fatigue, as chronic pain, as anxiety, insomnia, or even disease. We are taught to silence our emotions, to get over it, to move on. But energy doesn't vanish. It transfers, it translates, and the first place it goes is your body. The whisper becomes a murmur. The murmur becomes a cry. And one day, your body stops you, because you won't stop for yourself. This is not about fear. This is about listening. The soul doesn't use words. It uses energy. And the most fluent translator of that energy is your body. So ask yourself today, what has your body been trying to say that your mind has been too busy to hear? Because the moment you start listening, healing begins. You may think your story lives only in journals, photo albums, or fading memories, but your biography lives in your body. Every time you held back tears to stay strong, every time you said, "I'm fine," while breaking inside, every unresolved chapter became part of your cellular history. Caroline Myss said it best, "Your biography becomes your biology. Your cells are not just flesh and blood. They're storytellers. They remember what the mind forgets. That argument you buried at 17, it echoes in your immune system. That betrayal you never processed, it's imprinted on your heart rate. The shame you've carried for decades, it's tightened your lower back. Day after day, science is beginning to catch up. Neuroscience, epigenetics, energy medicine, all pointing to one truth. What we suppress, we embody. The nervous system isn't just a bundle of wires. It's an emotional highway. Trauma travels it. Rejection leaves footprints on it. Grief lives in its silence. And over time, unprocessed pain can shift your internal landscape. The body adapts, but adaptation is not healing. It's survival. And the cost of survival, often, it's chronic illness, autoimmune flares, hormonal imbalance, even heart disease. This isn't about blame. This is about reclaiming. Reclaiming your story from the shadows of your body. Because once you become conscious of what you've stored, you can begin to release it. Healing doesn't always come from a prescription. Sometimes, it begins with a sentence. I haven't made peace with what happened. Or, I'm still carrying the weight of that silence. So take a breath, place your hand on your chest, and ask yourself, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. Because when you begin to honor the story beneath the symptoms, you unlock a truth far more powerful than pain. You unlock the beginning of healing. Not all memories are made of pictures. Some are made of energy, vibrations, frequencies, sensations that live quietly inside your skin. The human body is an energy field, a living archive, and every emotional experience you've ever had, especially the ones you didn't express, left an energetic residue. Grief that never had words. Rage you swallowed to keep the peace. Fear you buried to keep moving. These don't disappear. They relocate into your jaw, your shoulders, your gut. Some call it tension. Some call it stress. Caroline Myss calls it memory. But not the kind stored in your brain. This is cellular memory. Emotional information etched into muscle fibers, organs, and fascia, waiting for you to finally feel what you once refused. Have you ever wondered why a certain place, a smell, or even a song can suddenly bring tears to your eyes, even if you don't know why? That's energy memory surfacing. And it's not random. It's purposeful. Because healing doesn't come from forgetting, it comes from finally remembering and giving that memory a voice. In energy anatomy, the body has language, tight hips, maybe suppressed grief, a sore throat that lingers, unspoken truth, a heavy chest, unforgiven loss. And when we ignore these whispers, they grow louder, until pain becomes the only language left. But pain is not punishment. It's communication. Your soul is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to get your attention, to say, there's something here, still waiting, still unfinished. So instead of numbing, what if you asked your body, what are you holding that I haven't yet felt? And then just listened. Without judgment, without rushing to fix, just listened. Because when memory is felt, it moves, and when it moves, the body begins to soften. This is not just healing, it's homecoming. He had always been the strong one, the dependable son, the husband who carried the weight of everything quietly. But on that March afternoon, as the sky turned gray, and the air thickened with spring rain. His heart clenched. It wasn't gradual. It was sudden, sharp, like something inside him snapped. They rushed him to the hospital. He survived, but what haunted him wasn't the pain. It was the date, March 19th, the anniversary of his father's death. A father he never reconciled with. A father he resented, feared, and somewhere deep inside, still longed to forgive. He never cried at the funeral, never said goodbye, never said, "I forgive you," because forgiveness felt like betrayal, like letting him off the hook, like saying the pain didn't matter. So instead, he buried it, year after year, until the grief became sediment, and the sediment became stone. Stone. That pressed against his chest until it cracked. The heart, Caroline Myss teaches, is the spiritual center of the body. It governs love, compassion, forgiveness. But when forgiveness is withheld, not just from others, but from yourself, the heart bears the weight, and no amount of cardio, diet, or medication can undo the damage that unspoken grief does to the soul. You see, it wasn't cholesterol, it wasn't genetics, it was a wound, unseen, unhealed, and unspoken. His body spoke because his soul couldn't. This is not about guilt. It's about awareness, about how the emotional breaks we ignore can become physical fractures we can't. Forgiveness. Real forgiveness is not saying what happened was okay. It's saying, I won't let this hurt live in me anymore. And when we say that, from the deepest part of our being, the body listens. The blood flows differently. The breath deepens. The cells soften. And the heart begins to heal. So, if there is someone you have not forgiven, even if that someone is yourself, ask gently, what am I still carrying in my heart that was never mine to hold? Because where the soul cracks, the body will break until you choose to feel what it always needed you to feel. And then you can finally begin to let go. Most of us are taught to see illness as an enemy, a malfunction, an interruption, something to fight or fix. But what if illness wasn't the enemy? What if it was the messenger? Caroline Myss said, illness is often the soul's last attempt to speak when all other forms of communication have been ignored. It doesn't come to punish. It comes to awaken. Think of the migraines that arrive when you've betrayed yourself too long. The chronic fatigue that whispers, you've abandoned your joy. The panic attacks that shout, something inside is not safe. These aren't random. They're encoded messages, like sacred telegrams sent from soul to self, through the only medium we can no longer ignore, the body. When you get a diagnosis, the question isn't just, what's wrong with me? The deeper question is, what is trying to emerge through this pain? Illness strips away pretense. It humbles us. It slows us down, not to hurt us, but to bring us face to face with the parts of ourselves we've left behind. And yes, medicine is vital. Yes, treatment is necessary, but healing is something deeper. Healing is what happens when you sit with the illness and ask, what do you want me to know? Because every symptom carries a spiritual message. The lungs, grief. The liver, anger. The gut, fear of trusting life. In energy medicine, these associations aren't poetic, they're precise. The body is mapped like sacred terrain, and illness marks the places that need light. So the next time your body speaks in discomfort, pause. Instead of asking, "How do I stop this?" ask, "What is this revealing?" And perhaps you'll hear a whisper from a place you forgot you had, a part of you that says, "I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to return you to yourself." Because when you stop waging war on your pain, you start listening to its wisdom. And in that moment, you are no longer a victim of your illness. You become its student. That's where healing begins. Your body is not just skin and bone. It's a living archive, a sacred map of every emotion you've ever felt and every truth you've ever buried. Each region of the body holds meaning, and every symptom, it has a backstory. In the language of energy anatomy, your throat isn't just for speaking. It's the seat of self-expression. And when your truth has been silenced, your voice begins to tremble or vanish altogether. Your heart is not just a pump. It's the chamber of love. And when heartbreak goes unspoken, tightness, palpitations, or pressure may follow. Your stomach digests more than food. It processes your sense of safety. When anxiety festers, the gut becomes inflamed. Nausea, ulcers, or IBS emerge, as if your body is saying, "I can't stomach this life anymore." Caroline Myss calls this emotional anatomy a sacred system where emotion, memory, and biology intertwine. Let's walk through it slowly and maybe feel it. The pelvis holds creativity and shame. The lower back support and worth. The solar plexus identity and power. The heart love and grief. The throat truth and lies. The brow intuition and illusion. The crown connection to the divine. Every time we repress a part of ourselves, it doesn't disappear. It relocates. And if we do not honor these areas with presence, the body becomes the messenger of the unsaid. So here's a question you may never have asked. What story is your neck holding? What grief lives in your chest? What truth is lodged in your throat? Close your eyes. Place your hand on that one part of your body that often aches. Now, whisper gently, "What are you trying to tell me?" And then listen, because healing is not just about removing the pain. It's about decoding the message. And once you understand the message, your body no longer needs to scream. Sometimes, all it ever wanted was to be heard. We often think forgiveness is a decision, a mental act, a phrase we say when we want to move on. But Caroline Myss said something quietly revolutionary. Forgiveness is not a mental act. It's cellular. It doesn't just happen in the mind. It happens in the body, in the tissues, in the nervous system, in the way your shoulders unclench, your breath deepens, your heart softens. Because true forgiveness isn't about the words. It's about the release, the surrender of energy that's been trapped sometimes for years, decades. You may have told yourself, "I forgave them." But why does your chest still tighten when you hear their name? Why does your jaw still lock when that memory flashes by? The body remembers, even when the mind insists it has moved on. That's because forgiveness is not intellectual. It's somatic. It's energetic. It's when the cells stop reacting, as if the threat is still present. It's when your body no longer braces. Every time you revisit the past, and the truth is, forgiveness isn't just for others. Often, the hardest forgiveness, is the one we owe ourselves for not knowing better, for staying too long, for not speaking up, for surviving the only way we knew how. To forgive at the cellular level is to say to the body, you don't have to hold this anymore. You're safe now. You can rest. So how do we begin? We begin by feeling, not thinking, feeling. We place our hand over the place that hurts most, the chest, the belly, the throat, and breathe in, out, and we whisper, I see you. I'm listening now. I release you. Again and again until the body believes it. Forgiveness is not a moment. It's a process, an unraveling, a quiet permission to no longer carry what broke you. And the moment that release happens, your energy shifts. The cells align. The healing begins. Not because you forgot, but because you finally let go. Healing is not about going back to who you were. It's about becoming someone deeper, softer, more honest. It's not about forgetting the wound. It's about remembering who you were before the wound closed your heart. Because healing doesn't mean the pain never happened. It means the pain no longer controls the narrative. You've cried. You've trembled. You've remembered. And through it all, you listened to the ache in your chest, to the silence in your gut, to the whisper in your soul that said, something here still needs to be seen. And now you see it, not to judge, not to fix, but to hold it gently as part of your human becoming. Caroline Myss reminds us, you are not broken. You are layered. Your body isn't betraying you. It's guiding you. Every sensation was a breadcrumb back to your truth. Every illness, an invitation to remember your energy, your origin, your wholeness. You are not just a body. You are not just a story. You are a soul, unfolding. And your body, it's your most faithful companion on the journey back to yourself. So today, place your hands over your heart, breathe, and whisper, I am whole, I am healing, I am home. Because sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is return not to the life you had, but to the truth that's been waiting for you all along. Welcome back. If you're still here, still breathing quietly with me in this silence, then maybe somewhere in your body, a door has opened. Not wide, not loud, just a soft, gentle crack of light where darkness used to live. And that's enough. For now, you don't need to rush to fix anything. You don't need to know how the story ends. All healing ever asks is that you stay present, listening, kind to your body, to your past, to the little voice inside that still trembles when it speaks. So before we part, place your hand on the part of you that hurt the most tonight and just whisper, I hear you now. You are not alone because you're not anymore. Every cell that has ached in silence is now witnessed. Every corner of your being is now held in light. And that is the beginning of transformation. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your courage to feel, to soften, to remember. We'll meet again soon in another breath, another whisper, another remembering. Until then, rest well, heal gently, and always, always return to your wholeness, I'll see you again.